कहाँ रह गई? Where is she? Let me call her.
Hi Jyoti.
Hey, hi. I was thinking, कहाँ रह गई? What's up? What's the challenge?
वॉशरूम में हैंड ड्राई नहीं चल रहा है. Can you beat that?
Andra नहीं चल रहा है. Damn.
You are watching us on EtherWire podcast on a special season and playlist Desi Dhaakad. Desi Dhaakad is stories of guts, grit, and glory from various women leaders, founders, women from all walk of lives coming on this platform to share their authentic, real stories. Stories of evolving, stories of metamorphosis, stories of growth, unleashing growth. It's an honor to introduce guest. Joining me in welcoming Brinda ma'am is Meenal, the co-host of Desi Dhaakad, this special episode. Brinda ma'am, thank you and thank you for coming on board. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. And good, I'm quite excited. And I hope you don't ask me tough questions.
Ma'am, you're a Dhaakad. I think you have taken it all the tough. You have taken the toughest decisions of life and the toughest field. But before we start, we have a small prayer that we would like to do, and a small prayer by Meenal.
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ओम शांति शांति शांति.
When we first interacted with you, when we learnt about you, we knew one thing. आपसे बात करके एक बार दिमाग तो हिल जाता है. एक बार the most common question is that you've been there, done that. What was the most challenging thing in your job as a woman in the bank?
You know, this was a while ago. At that time, there were not many women in the industry itself. And Jyoti, there were no toilets, separate toilets for women in many places. So I think that was a big challenge. But otherwise, those days, yes, it was a challenge. It was tough.
What was your first day of the first job like?
You know, it was it'll be quite awesome. I mean, full of awe because I didn't know what to expect. And but I was quite happy. I was looking forward to it, and I said, this is something different, and I was quite excited actually.
How did the world view of your got shaped, ma'am? Because you studied extensively abroad. You studied economics.
First, I did most of my studies in India, and I went to the University of California at Davis. I got a Rotary Foundation scholarship, so that's how I went there. And economics I've always loved, but I'll tell you, it was more by accident, I think. I was very curious and I've loved the subject of economics. But when my father was in the army, so we would get posted to different places, and I finished from Kendriya Vidyalaya in Delhi.
Wow.
And then I applied to Lady Shri Ram College in Delhi for history honors, because I said history looks good and history honors. But it was a university, it was a college, which decided to put me in economics because I had topped the All India Higher Secondary in economics. So I found myself in economics honors, and well, I liked it and I continued there. And my father got transferred again, so second year and third year I did it in Pune, completed from Ferguson College.
Wow.
And luckily Pune University didn't ask for the 3-year term. It's the last second and third year were counted for the degree. So I didn't miss any year. But that is how I came to Pune. Then I went to Gokhale Institute, did my MA there. And then I was working, I had just joined State Bank when I got this scholarship from the Rotary Foundation. So that's how I went to California. And but I was always clear that I wanted to be back in India. So I'm back here. And in between, mid-career, I thought after about 15, 16 years, said, let me do something else, because by then you feel a little plateaued and you mid career crisis or whatever you call it. So I applied for a sabbatical. They had brought out this new scheme for a sabbatical to do PhD, and I just took it, and that's how I did my PhD from Bombay University. Professor Nachne was my guide. Okay. And I did it. My subject was reforms in the banking sector. Oh. So it was so timely, topical, because that's when the Narsimham committee was also presenting its report, and everybody was talking about change, reforms. The new norms had come into banking, capital adequacy, prudential norms, everything, provisioning. So that is how my PhD, my study, became even more relevant to my work, and that's what has really helped.
Wow. I realized that you were a brat. You are a brat, born, raised and transferred. Wonderful.
Yes, that was true.
Okay.
I mean, innumerable transfers. I was born in Punjab, and I spent most of my early childhood in Himachal and J&K. So nature, beautiful scenery, and it was always, the mountains and gardens and flowers and water. It was really, really beautiful.
Right.
And I think that's what kindled my curiosity and made me more look deeper into things around me, and so that's what started this journey.
That's pretty unique, because I can relate to it. I'm a brat myself, raised in Eastern. Dad was an infantry guy.
All right. And my father was in the ordnance.
Of course, much younger. If your childhood friends were asked to describe you in one word, what do you think that would be?
If they were serious, if they may even call me that, but if they were serious, they'd probably say I'm dependable.
Ma'am, we know that you can conquer heights, you can fulfill roles. What is the pebble in the shoe for Brinda?
It's the small things around you. Like, it's not easy for a working woman who's managing a family and who has career. So balancing both is not easy at all. I think it was Shobha Day who said very famously, behind every famous babe there is a bai. So I would be very thankful. I had very good household help, and that really took me. And then my own family was very supportive. My mother, she was a brick. Even now she's a brick. And she supported me when my child was born, and I had to manage everything. So I think that it's these small things, like what will happen tomorrow? The child falls sick, so who's going to take leave? Who's going to go to the doctor? Those are the small things, but which really sort of, it's not the major thing that I have to make a presentation tomorrow. That's easy. That can be managed. But these unknowns, behind every famous babe, there's a bai.
Okay.
I said, yes. You really need help. And it was really my family that I think I will really give credit to. My mother really supported me, my siblings, everyone.
Awesome. No, that's truly the thing, the support system that we build, right?
Yes, yeah. We need to build a support system.
So, in your journey so far, and like if there was a moment you might want to say, which is where, a bold decision which you took, which completely changed your trajectory. If you recollect that, what would that be?
Like I said, the initial years they went very fast because there was so much to do, so much to learn. But after a time, you're not sure whether you want to do the same thing all over. I remember my friends used to ask me in the bank, they said, you are in the same department, and don't you get bored? And because they would move treasury, credit, small SME, agriculture, whatever, and different cities. But my job was in Bombay, at the corporate center. And so they would ask me that, isn't it boring? I'd said no, because the economy is never the same. It's constantly changing. And every policy brings about its own changes, and there are so many new things to learn, so many challenges. And I really enjoyed my work. So, but after a point, I was not sure. So I was thinking what to do. That's when the bank came out with the policy of giving sabbatical, giving an opportunity if you want to go out, do something. So I said, yes, why don't I take this? And I applied for the scholarship and I got it. So I went to Bombay University. I didn't know anybody there, and but I just walked in, and so I just met a few people, and then Dr. Nachne said yes, and that was it.
Wow.
So it was.
So decision to take a sabbatical from a functional role in a bank was, and for doing a PhD in economics.
Also, because that time my daughter was very small, and she would also always complain, you don't come to school, you're not like the other mothers. So I thought, okay, let me do this. And so while I was on leave, there were times when I could go and participate in her class activities and pick her up from school and be there. So I think that was, again, a very, very big plus.
Wow.
So what made you, take up this profession?
That's really interesting, because I think a lot of things, when I look back, have happened to be by accident. And I think there's some God up there who's been very kind to me. So I was initially, I never thought I would be doing economics. Like I said, I thought I'll do history. And when you're in Delhi, everyone is, like you prepare for the civil services, and that's a big thing. And I thought, okay, history. But I got into economics, and I still had history. I mean, I still had that in mind. So you give a lot of exams and you try, and both came at the same time. My central services, the civil services, and the bank. So then everyone said banking. 70s banking was a big thing, and it was just after the emergency. So nobody wanted to get into government. So everyone told my parents, no, it's banking and state bank. You're never at a deadlock, and you're never saying I've seen this, I've done that. It's always a challenge. So that's what brought me here, and that's what kept me going.
Yes, where Meenal is also coming from is that you meet so many profiles of so many people. You meet one chief economist, you meet one person who is really corporate economist as well. So that's the rare side of the role itself. But
so
now,
what is like that common misconception, typically people have about this role of a corporate economist? What is the sort of, you might have encountered questions around that role. So is there anything you would like to kind of help clarify?
Economics, first of all, let me say that people think that everyone reads the Economic Times, Business Standard, Mint, and also everyone knows everything. But that's not true, because an economist will help you analyze and help you find out what is it that from here, what next? It's not just that something has happened here. And economics affects each one of us. At every level we are involved. Like, for example, if you take this electric cars, let's say, because that's what is so much. So if India is very energy dependent
country,
85% of our energy, oil imports, oil requirements are imported, and more than 30%, I think, of the budget of the external payments goes for oil. The import bill goes for oil. So I think this, and it has a lot of implications, as you would know. So when this suppose I decide to switch to an electric car, I decide that I won't buy this the petrol ribbon, I'll buy an electric car. So this affects. So if many people do this, our oil bill will come down, which means the current account deficit, which will come down, which means that the rupee will not weaken, rupee will be stronger, and the government will not have to subsidize petrol prices, energy prices. So its fiscal deficit will come down. When it has more room for spending, it can spend on schools, hospitals, roads. So all that affects us. And it then also affects inflation, because if prices are going up and if they're not able to come down, then it affects each and every person. So inflation goes up. If inflation goes up, again the government will be, the Reserve Bank will be constrained to bring down interest rates. So lower interest rates means lower EMI for houses, cars. So that again affects each one of us. And all this put together has an implication for growth, GDP. So my decision has such a wide-ranging impact. So it's economics that affects each one of us in our daily lives. I think that's what is important. And when like when you asked me about a corporate economist, so for a corporate it would be, if these policies change, then what impact will it have on us? If like for example, when the interest on savings bank deposits, that was liberalized, banks could fix their own, it was not fixed by the Reserve Bank, or let's say the overall interest rate deregulation.
And so you have served on many boards. So in your experience, and what would you say that one thing that keeps the boards focused and effective?
I would say transparency and good governance. That's the key to anything. Because see, as a board member, I'm not involved in day-to-day working of the organization. So I can only see what is brought before me, and so if I know that the transparency is there, they are able to tell me upfront everything, whether there's a problem, whether they've received some show cause notice or whatever. So all the issues are brought to the table and discussed and explained. So transparency and good corporate governance. I know that the company is working in good faith. So all this really helps. But at the same time, independently, a board member should be able to smell the corporate culture. And how do you do this? One is by looking at the type of complaints that you get. So consistently, if they're talking about fraud or something, so you know that something is wrong somewhere. So it's time to look deeper, dive deeper into this issue. So look at the type of complaints that you get. Then also interact with not only the top first level management which you see in the boardroom, but also the second level, third level. So when you talk to the 2 downs and 3 downs also, then you know exactly, you get feedback which is unbiased, unfiltered feedback.
Right.
And you know that the information flow is also very clear. So it makes you comfortable. And also third thing I think is social media. Because now anything that happens goes to social media straight away. So when you see that in the social media, you know that something is wrong, or you know that something is right. So I think with these you have to keep your eyes and ears open and do your best. That's it.
Amazing. I think now we'll also like to cover with you some of the panorama of what goes behind nation building. There was some time back I realized how relevant I am. Before that statistics, I didn't know my worth. Now I'll give you an example that Indian women supposedly on the consumer side are influencing big numbers. As a consumer, as an influencer, whether it's a FMCG brand, whether it's a personal care brand, whether it's women shopper online, or influencing which masalas to be consumed at home. How do you see this big demographic dividend of India? How can it be utilized? Who will be using it for good? Will it be Amazons and Netflix?
No, I think women hold up half the sky. Wow. So it's really time that we got our fair share. But Jyoti, it's not just the women who make these decisions. Sometimes there are children who influence, and also husbands, the men. Like my husband, he knows more about the market than I do. So he would know which masalas and which kind. I remember once I was in Cochin and I was shopping here. He told me specifically to go to this market and pick up some spices. And I'm there on the phone saying, yes, which grade, which one, which type. And he's telling me from there what to buy. So I think we should give them also the credit that they also. So, but when you say women influence, because a lot more women are now into the workforce, so they are also financially independent, and so they feel that they really have, and people then respect them also, and they have a voice. So,
how would you interplay is it true that the country that has more flourishing women contributors in the work front or entrepreneurs tends to end up doing very much better in the GDP growth?
That's what the empirical research has shown, whether it's in the boardroom or whether it's in the corporate or whether it's, like you said, in the economy. Because we see those Nordic countries, Sweden, etc., Norway, so they have a very large proportion of women, whether it's in the parliament or whether it's in the workforce, everywhere. So I suppose that does have an impact. And even in our own, when you look at the self-help groups that are there, their repayment is 98%. So they're very conscientious. They come together, take the loan for what they want to, the purpose, use it for that purpose, and make sure that everyone repays.
Right.
So I think women maybe by nature or but I think it does have an impact. But I'm not saying, let's not carry it too far or let's not make a generalization about it. But it's always good to give a person his or her fair share in the contribution.
No,
That's
I
it.
think very well said and explained. And India is of course known to be the fastest growing economy. We have a great age bracket, so to say, the amount of young Indians and the age and stuff. My question to you is with regards to the demographic dividend. Do you think enough is being done, whether it's a skill side or there's a lot to be done? Somewhere that we can be a destiny turner idea on the skill side.
India is the, I think 65% of the population is under 35. So we have a young population, and the young population it's not just the educated, skilled population that we're talking about. We're talking about all kinds of professions, jobs, etc. Now, like for example, I said Europe. Europe is aging. They don't have people. Venice, we went to Venice, for example, and you find it's taken over mostly by people from outside who are doing either in the serving the food, cooking the food, restaurants, managing shops, cleaning shops, looking at those gondolas and boats. So you need people to do all that. And this is just one example, but we need for every kind of work we require people. So we need skilled, we need semi-skilled, and we need unskilled. We have a large population. Not everybody wants to go and become an IT or an engineer or become a scholar. So let people do what they want. If somebody is a very good driver and he wants to make a living out of it, yes, why not? So, and the world requires that. So, and with more and more women working, they require help with the children. They want nannies who can drive, for example, and go and pick up the children. So, there are all kinds of skills that are required, and I think today's world has a place for every skill. Of course, there was a report which said every fourth Indian will be in the workforce. We'll be able to go abroad, because the demand for labor is so much that we have the labor, we are educated, we are skilled, we are talented, and of course the famous Indian jugaad is there. So it's opportunities for all. But right now there's capital mobility is allowed, but where people mobility is there, there are restrictions. So once they lift that, or once they make it easier to get the right skills, then I think it will be very good. But for us, for our own country, we are a growing economy, and 5 trillion is down the corner. It took us 60 years after independence to become a $1 trillion economy in 2008. And after that, next 6 years it doubled, and then doubling is much faster. So today we are close to 4 trillion, and soon of course we will be 5 trillion. But we are already talking about 7 trillion and 10 trillion. So the growth is not going to stop here. And we have a lot, because we really have so much to do. We have a skilled workforce, as you rightly, we have a big, large workforce, as you rightly said, but we need to skill them. So it's not enough just to have physical infrastructure. Yes, look at this, but we also need social infrastructure, education, healthcare. I think that would be the area which would need greater focus now, if we are to make our people skilled and make them ready to take on the new challenges that the workforce offers, because even at the workforce, the nature of work is changing. So it's not, banks for example may not need as many people as it did earlier. Even if you today walk into a branch, you'll find it's sparsely populated, there are not too many people, because you can do everything online. So things are, so therefore you need different skills, different skill sets, and a willingness to learn, adapt, change and grow.
Wow. You heard it loud and clear from Brinda that we are a country with a lot of dividend, demographic dividend, of course, as we say. The population when put to use and the workforce skilled, of course India has a great promising future to be the skill provider to the world kind of a nation, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah, you can go next. So you can pick up any of your questions.
Fun and witty section.
Yes,
is it?
please. Please.
Okay. So if economics were a Bollywood movie, what would the title be?
I'm not a Bollywood fan, and I don't watch too many movies, so I don't know how to answer that.
The safest, but yeah.
No, I think nothing fits it. Really, nothing fits it, because it's so different. Bollywood is still stuck in the old paradigm. Yeah. We have moved on.
And if there's an economic principle that you secretly wish it didn't exist.
There's something called indifference curves. And They say, like, for example, 4 oranges and 6 apples will give you so much of satisfaction, or maybe 2 oranges and 10 apples, or whatever, you know. So you draw a curve with that. And honestly, it's a whole lot of economic theory is built around this. So this indifference curves, I don't know what use it has, but it's really. I mean, I was really happy to get rid of it when I moved into macro.
Okay, now we know what did not click with Brinda ma'am. Awesome.
So, which is harder, explaining fiscal policy to a room full of non-economists, or convincing your family that you're not just a numbers person? What is harder?
Meenal, it's always hard to convince your family, whatever the question be.
Okay, so family it is. Outstanding. No, ma'am, this is fantastic. Thought leadership and observations, both are very critical aspect in our profession. Thought leadership is when your leaders walk the talk. They are not influencing you, but they are showing you the way. Observations, of course, a great knack, if you have it, you can learn by just observing. Let's find out in this section from Brinda ma'am, what does she feel?
So surely you would have also had mentors, cheerleaders, anything to share on that a little bit?
Absolutely. I can't claim that I've got here all on my own. That would not be true, and that would be most unfair. I think my first inspiration was from my parents. My father taught me to overcome fear and be brave, and my mother taught me to be kind. And I think life taught me to be patient. So
Awesome.
it's everything that you, and of course I can't, because there were so many people, my colleagues at work, my seniors, the chairman, SBI chairman I worked with, everyone, senior people at the bank. I can't name any one person, but I think they've all helped me so much, groomed me, and helped me to be where I am.
Wow, fantastic.
So,
Great.
what's a trend in the global economy that keeps you up at night today?
She's
You know,
changing the
I
gears
would-
fatafat.
Okay, I would say crypto, because that's really something like money. That crypto is money. Now, what money supply is a very important component in the economy. If you want to control inflation, you have to be able to control money supply. So you know who's issuing the currency, and you know that there's somebody behind it, and that gives you confidence. But crypto, I don't understand. Frankly, I don't understand, and I don't know what impact it will have, because you don't know who's supplying it. You don't know what is the quantum. You don't know where it's coming from, when it's going to go out. So it can have a very disrupting effect on the economy, on the markets. So that is something I worry about. Now, crypto is different from central bank digital currency. That's different. So digital currency, at least you know, it's at a pilot stage even in India, and all central banks are looking at it, because digital is the way to go forward today. So comes to currency also. But then let's not forget, fraud's also becoming digital. So that's what is a big concern, that how do you balance the two, how do you take it forward and make sure it doesn't get disrupted.
Right. No, I think that's a fair,
Yeah.
quite a fair thing, because I'm awake because of crypto, because I don't have it, and those have it. They were just sending messages that, you know, see how after Trump has won, see, have become a millionaire.
Yes.
You know?
So I don't want to get into it also, because I don't know. And also I'm not greedy, so it's okay.
Awesome.
So Jyoti, I'm going to
Wonderful.
change the gear once again.
Sure.
So one question, ma'am. What is the last historic monument you have visited?
Historic, I would say, you know, let's come to the present. Have you been to the Statue of Unity?
Not yet. Not yet.
You must. I think that's awesome. It's not just the height and weight and all the things that we talk about, the statistics, but the way it has changed the economy of that place. It's in this small village called Kevadia, and in Gujarat. And I was so happy, and I was really so satisfied also to see so many young people being involved, you know, employed over there. And they're all from the local villages. So they come there, they're standing next to the exhibits and they're explaining to you what it's all about, and they're explaining it so in a very, very nice manner, Hindi, English, whatever language you want to talk to them, Hindi, Gujarati, whatever. They explain it so nicely, and I was so happy to see the locals, the educated, the young, the youth getting employment there and becoming part of the India growth story.
Wow.
That's some shift in
Shift
the
in-
game. We
Absolutely.
have spoken to.
But you know, there are also very many historic places that you have to visit. You can't write them off. I mean, recently we were in Rome, and it's so beautiful. It's got so many museums, and then we went to Greece, the Acropolis. Oh my God, it's so many. It's really ancient and old, and it is awe-inspiring. And even in India, there are so many temples.
Yes.
Ellora, how did the temple get built at all? And look at Orissa, the Jagannath Puri. There are so many places in India which you don't know how to explain it. I believe there is this pillar, I can't remember in which temple, somewhere in the South India. It's a room hall which has many pillars, and this pillar it's actually suspended. You can pass something under it and it'll come out. You know,
Yes.
it's not. So how did these people make all such things? Belur, Halibad, these are very, very beautiful places, historic places, and you must visit.
Wow. No, this what you said about Statue of Unity will stay
Yeah.
in terms of very different perspective. Never had it. Everybody was enamored by the size, of course, the size, but we're going to check it out. This
Yes,
specific.
definitely.
Imagine it's the highest in the world.
Yeah.
So that's really something.
Awesome. Fantastic.
So, ma'am, what would be the advice you would give to the young women looking to enter into the world of finance and economics today?
You know, first of all, it's so heartening to see that there are so many women out there, so well qualified, professionally qualified, and wanting to really take up careers, not just a job. So that's very heartening, first of all. So I think half the battle is done because they want to do it themselves. So what I would say is love your work, do what you like best, skill yourself. And it's not enough just to get an MBA or BA, MA, whatever. It's not enough. Look at skilling yourself with something more, like technology, for example. That is such a critical component of any job that you're doing. So make yourself comfortable with the computers, learn Excel, learn how to navigate through the Excel sheet, PowerPoint presentation, because presentation skills are very important. So it's a little bit more than what you have studied in college, and you need to see what's happening in the real world. I think that's the main thing. Keep learning, keep growing. And as I think it was Steve Jobs who said, stay hungry, stay foolish. So that's the only way to grow in your career.